What's up guys, my name is Kyle and welcome to Tech Hunter. So today I'm bringing you guys along for the tech hunting process. I've just picked up a PC, or I'm about to go pick up a PC. It's got a Ryzen 5 1600X, 16 gigs of RAM. It's got no graphics card, which I think is why this guy's struggling to sell this. So obviously with that Ryzen CPU, it needs a graphics card, otherwise you don't get any picture. It's also got a B350 motherboard. What else? We've got 120 gig SSD, we've got a deep cool RGB CPU cooler. It's got a Corsair case, unmentioned what it is, and it's got 5 fans with it, so that's also good. We've got a 650 watt Corsair power supply, so we just need to add a graphics card to this and then we are good to go. So this is the post here. We've got the RAM, we've got the motherboard, power supply. That's all of it together on that B350 board with that deep cool CPU cooler. And I'm guessing before he had a GTX 970 or 980 WindForce in there. So I remember seeing this post about a week or two ago and I was like, that's not too bad of a deal, but I'd rather pay a little bit less. He wanted £350 for it back then. He's since lowered the price to $315 and I went in lowballed him at $250, and I wish I'd gone a little bit lower because I was like, will you take $250 as my opening line? He said yes immediately. That was all he replied with. So maybe should have tried 200 and then kind of maybe got to 240 or 230. We don't know. So yeah, I told him I'd be there at 4. It's now 3 minutes to 4 and I've got to get across town. So yeah, I'll text him saying I'm gonna be a little bit late, and I'll bring you guys along for the ride. So next time you see me, we should have a PC with us, as I don't want to film inside his house, that's just a bit rude. So yeah, we'll bring the PC back to the van and we'll take a look at it there. Right guys, so we have got the case home. I did record a little smidgen of video in the van, but I forgot to turn the microphone on, so we'll just breeze past that. So we've got the case home. It looks to be in pretty good condition. He opened it up for me, both sides, and it looked pretty good inside. There's a little bit of dust build up, not too much, and it could do with a little bit of a clean. So before we do any of that, let's kind of crack this side panel open and see what we're working with. We also got the box for the Ryzen CPU and the motherboard, and inside the motherboard box is pretty much just some basic things like spare SATA cables, spare screws, and stuff like that. Nothing really too exciting. I suppose there's a 3-way fan splitter, so that's a bit of a bonus. So let's take a look at what we're working with inside the build. So as far as fans go, we've got a bit of a mismatch. We've got a Thermaltake case fan up there. We've got 2 Corsair AF120s there in grey and blue maybe, and another one of them at the back. Probably got a triple pack of them. And then the fan at the top is a 140mm fan of some description, I'm not too sure. But the CPU cooler is a deep cool, I'm not sure on the exact model and make, but it is an RGB model. We've got the B350 board. You can see we've got the 4 sticks of RAM there, populating all 4 slots. Unfortunately, instead of getting 2 8 gig sticks, we've got 4 4 gig sticks. We've got the PCIe cables just kind of chilling at the bottom. There is quite a bit of dust in this case, so it could use a bit of a clean. And especially at the front, if we get some light on it, yeah, you can kind of see the dust outline of the fans. It's a little bit obvious, but it's not too bad, to be honest. It's in pretty good condition. He knew what he was talking about when it came to the PC, so that usually kind of gives you an example that they've generally taken care of it. And round the back, cable management isn't too bad, and to be honest, at the front, cable management is pretty good as well. My plans for this PC are to add a graphics card and possibly, potentially change the case, and then we'll see how we get on. So keep that PC in mind back there, as that's gonna be the last time you're gonna see it like that. When you next see it, well, you're probably gonna watch me change it over anyway. It'll be a lot more better looking. It'll have some more RGB bling. It'll have Windows 10 running on it and maybe even some games. And then to finish it off, we'll run over the benchmarks and we'll see just how well this little PC performs with a GTX 1060 I picked up about a few months ago now for, I think it was £100 back then. So pretty decent card, and I believe it's, actually I've got the box here. Yeah, so it's a Gigabyte G1 Gaming GTX 6GB. I picked that up for about £105 I think it was a few months ago. They're probably even cheaper than that now, I don't know, I've not looked for the 1060s in a while. So that plus that £250 PC will mean it's cost me around £350 in total. We'll chuck in some spare bling which I stole out of another PC case, and I feel like we should be onto a bit of a winner. So let's see what we can turn this bad boy into and see how much better we can make it look. Right guys, so as you can see, we are up and running. Windows is installing as we speak. One thing I did forget to add is the hard drive. I don't actually have any hard drives. Those hard drives that are up on the shelf over there are actually just kind of duds. I think they're 250 gig and 120 gig hard drives. They're literally just placeholder hard drives. So I don't actually have one to stick in there right now. So I may have to, actually I may steal it out of my PC on the floor over there, because that's got a 1 terabyte hard drive in it. It's not doing anything. So I may take it out of there and just plop it into here. This thing is so quiet without any mechanical hard drives. I'm really impressed with it. It's really good how all the kind of RGB all syncs up really well. We've got a little controller on the back here, so we can just change the speed or the modes or whatever. Just slow it down a little bit. It's a little bit crazy back there. But yeah, it looks pretty good. And what has it actually cost me today? £250 for the build itself, £100 for the case, and some fans I bought for a video review about a year ago. If you've not seen that review, these are the Deepcool RF120 fans. Click the link in the corner to check out that video if you've not seen it already. And I said it in that video, there are some good budget RGB fans and they still look good today. They're nice and quiet as well, which I really like. I'll come back to you guys once this is all installed and we've got some games up and running and we can see just how well this actually performs. Right guys, now it's time to try and play some games on this thing. I've got Battlefield 5 up and running right now. I'm going to show you just kind of benchmarks of some other games that I've run a bit earlier on, just like basically the average FPS and the 1% lows. But I'll bring you along for Battlefield 5 because it's a bit of a more interesting one. It's a very demanding game. It's got a lot of kind of visual effects going along with it. So what can this sub £400 gaming PC actually achieve? We've got our GTX 1060 and our Ryzen 5 1600. We've overclocked the Ryzen 5 1600 to I believe 3.95 gigahertz. I've left the GTX 1060 at stock because, well, I could overclock it and I have overclocked it in some kind of a little bit of messing around, but I've left it at stock for now so it's a little bit more relatable and you guys can kind of expect to see something a little bit more similar yourselves. So, before my team starts to get angry at me, let's jump in and start playing some Battlefield 5. So we're currently set on the high preset and we're averaging around 60 FPS, sometimes dropping below, sometimes peaking above, but very, very close to 60 FPS most of the time. I suppose that makes it a little bit easier for me because now I can jump back to you guys. So overall, I'd say my 3 minutes of actual gameplay, it was pretty good, to be honest. If I was kind of playing competitively and more often, I would drop it down to say medium settings because, well, with around 60 FPS, we want to be hitting higher than that. This is actually a 75 Hertz monitor, so ideally if we're hitting around that 75 Hertz, we'd be a little bit better. But 1080p 60 for the price we're paying for all of this is not bad on Battlefield 5 at the high preset. I think I tried it on Ultra earlier and it was getting around 45 to 50, so don't recommend that at all. So the high preset is good if you want the looks as well as a kind of 60 FPS kind of baseline, but I'd recommend medium just so you're not really dipping below that very often. Right, so let's go over all of the parts that have gone into this build. We had the motherboard, case, power supply, RAM, CPU, and SSD, all included for £250. We've added a £100 graphics card, some RGB fans, which are unnecessary, but I feel I had them, so that's kind of added to the looks. But they were £30 brand new if you wanted to buy them anyway, but you can probably find some cheaper ones elsewhere if you're just kind of adding those kind of looks. The deep cool cooler is the main reason I decided to use them because I already had the perfect fans to match it. I also added a 1TB hard drive, which you can have for about 25 to £30. So I'd say that kind of pushes us close to a £400 gaming PC. But for £400, what are you getting? So that GTX 1060 and the Ryzen 5 1600X are an awesome pairing for this low budget price. We're talking close to 1080p 60 on Battlefield 5. We're hitting over 60 FPS in Far Cry New Dawn, around 60 FPS in Division 2. CSGO was always going to be a breeze at the max settings. Obviously lower it for even more performance. Assassin's Creed Odyssey is a very difficult one to run because it's such a massive open game, but we hit in around 45 I think FPS on the high preset. So again, knock that down to medium and you're likely to get a much more enjoyable kind of frame rate. But with a FreeSync monitor like this, which is what I would recommend kind of pairing it with nowadays, you can get decent FreeSync monitors for about £100. So your basic 24-inch monitor, near enough, comes with FreeSync. Say if you're dipping below that 60 FPS, you're getting kind of that stutter-free gaming and it always looks pretty good. So as a kind of budget PC for less than £400, I'd say we've done a pretty good job here. We've got tons of RGB all over the case. The cooler looks awesome. We've got quiet performance, we've got solid performance. You could use this to do a bit of like video editing as well, maybe like some 1080p, maybe 4K, or maybe
1440p kind of video editing as well, or kind of game footage editing. That would be really good for this PC. And you can have a good time. Also other games like Apex Legends, I didn't benchmark because it's a little bit difficult. Fortnite, I didn't benchmark, but again, you're hitting well over 60 FPS in those games. Well, Fortnite, the kind of max preset, and with Apex, the kind of high preset. But that's still pretty awesome for how much you're paying for this PC. If you're looking at just 1080p gaming, you can't go wrong with a PC like this. And this is something that I can't help but preach to people. Look at used PCs. Look at kind of what you're getting for your money. This was advertised for £300. I just came in for £250 and he said yes. And look what we're getting. We're getting I think it's basically a 18-month-old CPU, 16 gigs of RAM, and this thing could be easily upgraded as well. We could just update the BIOS, we could add in a new Ryzen chip that comes out in a couple months' time. We could swap that RAM out if we needed more. 16 gigs is perfect for gaming though. We could also upgrade that graphics card and our storage super easily, which is the kind of great thing about this kind of Ryzen platform. But overall though, I'd say I'm pretty impressed with this, and now it's time to sell this PC on and make a little bit of money back. We've added some components in and I would like to get my money back. So thanks for watching guys, thanks for coming along, and I hope you like this kind of video. If you'd like to see more kind of used PC builds and used content on the channel, click that like button down below, leave some comments, let me know what you'd like to see. And if you decide my face hasn't offended you, don't forget to click that subscribe button today, and also click that little bell icon so you can get the notifications and know when I'm uploading videos. Thanks for watching guys, I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.